and cute. No. Hello, you caught me talking to my dog. So, video meetings, video calls, video conferences, however you refer to them, have been the thing for the past year, right? It's been really the make or break point for a lot of us. And, of course, you hear about Facebook. And Facebook has got Facebook Messenger Rooms, and they've got Facebook Messenger video calls. Why are there two? Are they the same thing? Are they different? Which one should I be using for my business? I gotcha. That's what we're going to talk about in this video. But first, let's get things officially started. So if you happen to be lucky enough to own stock in one of the companies that does video chat, video conferencing, video meetings, video calls, you've probably seen an uptick because the past year, those have been the thing. Those have been the tool nobody can live without. And of course, Facebook is going to be right there with an option. But of course, it's Facebook. So it's not just one option, it's two options. And it's not really clear why there are two, what the differences are, which one you should be using for what. So I went and I did some research to see if we could help figure this out because, again, like all the best shows, this is a question that has been popping up a lot lately in my life. And so it was time to really dig in and get into the weeds. But just for a little background, right? So we all know, like, Zoom is the thing, right? That is, that's the version of, like, Kleenex and all those kinds of, like, it's become the generic term, a Zoom meeting, right? And some of the numbers say that there has been as many as 300 million daily participants in that type of activity. Now, whether that's just on Zoom, on everywhere, I wasn't really clear in the different numbers I looked at, but either way, it's a big number. And so, of course, there's multiple services out there, right? Zoom being the big one, but Microsoft Teams does it, Skype, you can FaceTime, you've got Google Meet, you've got Google Hangouts, Join Me, WebEx, like there's all kinds of things to do this. Now, some of these tools are definitely specifically built for meetings or webinars, that kind of thing. But then there are the ones that are just a little bit more generic, right? They're really trying to get as much of the audience as they can, which is not a bad thing. And so what their focus is letting you do this with one person or with multiple people as easily as possible, as long as there is some sort of device that has a microphone at least, preferably a microphone and a camera. So, of course, Facebook is in the game, right? And they made it a little confusing because that's kind of what they do. So we're going to clear things up. But for those of you who are new here, let me introduce myself. My name is Kathleen, and I'm here as your tech coach. Basically, my job in life is to help make technology make sense to everyone, specifically to small business folks, organizations, that type of thing, because you guys don't have a IT department you can turn to, and many of us are in that boat, so that's why I'm here doing this. All right, let us dive into this. There is basically two things in Facebook that we're talking about, right? So there's Rooms, which is a newcomer to the game, right? And then the video calls. And the video calls have been around for a while. It's been a part of the Messenger functionality. It was Messenger video calls. Like it's kind of cycled through a couple of different things. But when it comes down to it, that's what it is. It's a video conferencing feature. And then, of course, there is Rooms, which is something else that Facebook rolled out, I think it was this time last year. And they did their typical, slow rollout, but it was a little faster because of what was going on in the world. So we all got access a little bit faster than we might have otherwise. One second, let me... Okay, so two things. It got really warm here, went from like freezing to over 17 degrees today, so you're going to hear a little fan noise because it's hot in this room, but I'm not turning the air conditioning on yet, and also it's allergy season. All right, so let's dive into what these two pieces are and how they work. They don't work. I was going to say work together. They don't work together, really. They're independent things. So let's start with the video calls. Now, that's something that, people have seen, in the different phone apps, you've been able to do that, and then they added these kinds of things here. And the whole point of it is with a video chat or a video call, you can talk to just one person, but actually see them, right? So you can, see facial expressions and all that. And again, that's been very important over the past year. Or you can do with a group of people, and you don't have to make that decision ahead of time, right? You can start with one and say, hey, let's call, let's bring in other people, or you can do it from the beginning. Now, the number of people you can do this with has been a little hard to nail down. Typical Facebook. Some places I looked, Facebook said it was 8 people. Some places I looked, it said 10. And then other places, and then across the web, it says 50. It's more than one. So that's what we're going to go with. I have a feeling it's probably 50 because that is the number that they're also doing for rooms, and that would make them a little bit more competitive there. So that is the number we're going to talk about here. But understand that these things are fluid. They are going to scale them up and down depending on the needs of the market. And also how much hit their different servers are taking. So you may be able to do one day and not the other, and that's just life because it's not our tool, right? It's theirs, and they've got control over it, and they can do whatever they want. This is the other fun thing. So it used to be that you could do a video chat call or a video conference call in Messenger from the browser, from the tool, from your device. I've noticed lately that when you go to click on the thing that you used to in the desktop browser or in the app on the desktops, it's now switching you to rooms, right? It's not giving you a choice. You click on the thing that you used to click to just make a video call, and it's throwing you into rooms. Not saying whether that's good or bad. I'm just saying that's how it is. And it's a little confusing because that's not what it was doing before. So it's a little weird that they're doing this without giving any warning. Hey, John, how you doing? But just be aware that when you click on that little camera thing, that also, by the way, is used to go live. So reusing an icon, not a good idea. It should have a single meaning, but I'll save that rant for another time. But be aware that right now, the feeling seems to be that Facebook is very much pushing everybody towards the rooms. That said, you can still make a regular video conference call or regular video call from your devices. So using this, that's the default, but you can also do the rooms thing from here. So if you're clicking on it and you're landing someplace you didn't expect, that's probably the reason why. So the other thing about the phone is the process, right? So the process for doing a video call with one person or multiple is that, you go in, you start the app, you select the person, and you say call, and then that initiates a call. Right? So on their end, the phone or whatever device rings, and you have to wait for them to pick up or decline before you know whether or not they're going to join you, and before you can add somebody else. Now, the one caveat there is if you are looking from the start to do it with multiple people, you can start a group chat and then start the call from there, but it's still going to call each one in succession. So there's going to be a wait after the first person comes and the second person comes before everybody gets in the room. That may or may not be a problem for you. It depends on what your use case is, which we'll talk about in a minute. But that's just how it works. Other than that, it's basically what you would expect. You can do it with one person, in Facebook's world, you can use the filters, you can, do emotes and emoji and all that kind of stuff. So it's pretty much the experience that you're used to doing when you're in the Facebook world. It's just that you're actually seeing the people you're talking to. Because it is on here, if you do have more than 6 people on the call, you're probably only going to be able to see 6 faces at a time because there's just not much real estate on here, right? So that's just a reality of that. Let me just see. I think I covered all the basics there. I mean, so it's free. There's no time limit. All those kinds of things still apply. So it's good from that standpoint, right? You don't have to stress about that kind of thing. Let me see. What else did I have on here? So I mentioned you can start with just one person, and then you can go ahead and invite other people as you go along, which is really nice. You can multitask even from your device while you've got this running. So if you need to go look something up, you can do that. You can share your screen, all that kind of good stuff, which is fun. And sometimes it's really helpful, right? Because we're going to look at everything from a business standpoint, organization standpoint. And so you might need to go and get a piece of information, or you might need to show somebody something as part of the call. So that's all a good thing. This is not something that you're going to have that you can just open up and have anybody show up, right? You're going to have to actually invite people into it, and they're going to have to accept. but for a lot of scenarios, that's exactly what you want. So that works out very well. One of the interesting things that I did notice as I was going around is that they are definitely pushing that this is something that you can do, or in reverse, your customers can use to do business with you, right? So they're really trying to get businesses to use video calls and rooms, which we'll get into in a minute, as a way to do business, communicate, make it easier for your customer base to reach out to you. So what are we talking about? They mentioned something about finding deals. So it kind of feels like maybe they're going to open it up a little bit more for you to send messages through the messenger part of it, that then you can initiate a call and maybe, upsell or give discounts or whatever because of making that call. They're suggesting that you could use it to make reservations, to get tech support, or just general support on whatever product or service you're offering, to get information about, like sort of like a pre-sales call, or that last minute decision part of the sales process, where, okay, I have one question, can I get an answer on it, that kind of thing, which is not a bad way to connect with your audience and make them feel special and heard. And that really, if you are willing to do that, if you have somebody that either you do it or you have somebody do it, even if you only do it like certain days of the week or certain hours, it's the kind of thing that might kind of bump you up somebody's list as they're going through and making their decisions, because they feel like you're going to give them the attention that they need. So from that standpoint, it's definitely a good way to go. The other thing to be aware of is that Facebook is pushing hard on what they're calling cross-app messaging. Basically what that means is they want your Facebook and your Instagram worlds to be one thing. Two sides of the same coin, however you want to look at that. So they are making it so that from Messenger, you can search for, you can message, you can video chat, you can post on both from the one tool. And the same goes for folks on the other side, right? Your customer base or your fan base on Instagram and on Facebook are going to be able to reach you through the one tool. Again, if that's a good thing or a bad thing is certainly open for discussion, but this is what it is, and this is definitely where they are going, because every time you turn, they're giving you another pop-up saying, hey, connect your Instagram account to this. So again, you have to make that choice. I suspect, I have nothing to base this on yet, but I do suspect that at some point it will cease to be a choice. Just saying. Okay, so something else I want to cover here before we get into more details is that if you have blocked somebody on Facebook or Messenger, they won't be able to join your call because you have blocked them. If somebody tries to message you that you've blocked, they will also still not be able to get through to you. So that was something that a lot of people had been wondering about, and there's a reason why they're wondering. We'll get into that in a minute. Okay. All right, so that's basically it for the video call. I mean, it's pretty much, what you've been doing, already. It's just now not... It may be possible in this, but I couldn't find a way to make it work. I had some people telling me that they were able to do it from the Windows or iOS app. I'm a Windows girl, so I went in, I looked. It wasn't. Everything I clicked on was opening a room, so... maybe it depends, maybe it's one of those things that some people have access to and some people don't. At this point, they're pushing hard for rooms. Okay? All right, so let me just mention that if you have any questions, if you have anything that you want more details on, if you have an idea for a show or topic, or you just need help, you can reach out to me at yourtechcoach.net. Just go to the website. There's a contact form there. Let me know what your question, idea for a show is, whatever is. The only thing I ask is, if you need a fast answer, please, please, please let me know how to get back in touch with you, and let me know you need that fast answer, and then I will certainly reach right back out to you. If you don't, all I can do is answer you in a future show. So, and that's fine, if that's what you're okay with. But I don't want people to get frustrated, because if you don't tell me how to get back in contact with you, I can't find you. Which is good, right? You don't want me to find you unless you want me to find you. That's how this list should all work. So yeah, you can just hit the website and go and take care of that there if you like. All right, so let's keep going. Let's talk a little bit about rooms. We're going to go a little bit more detail here because not everybody has played with rooms yet, and it's fairly new. So it is definitely their version of Zoom as far as they're concerned. You can have up to 50 people at a time. There's no limit to how long you can talk. You don't need a Facebook account to join, which is nice because there's a lot of people out there who do not want to set up a Facebook account, and I understand that. I wouldn't have a Facebook account if I didn't have to, but that's a whole other story. So yeah, up to 50 people, and it's more of that Zoom experience that you've seen or experienced yourself. So the whole blocking thing, let's get right back into that. If you block somebody's messages or calls on Messenger, you will be notified if you are about to join a room where that person has already joined, which is not kind of nice. I have to say, I give them props for doing that, because that way it's up to you whether or not you're going to join that room. You're at least making an informed choice, which is always good. And of course, if you join a room, anyway, and it doesn't go well because of this person, you can always leave, and it's a very quiet thing, just like with Zoom. If you just disconnect, you're just gone. Okay, if you are hosting it and somebody who you've blocked tries to join, so if you set up an open room, which I'll get into in a minute, and they try to join, they will be blocked, so you're good there. So that's important, because there are situations where that's important, and you shouldn't have to worry about that. Let me see what else. Okay, so it's funny because when you look at I almost said propaganda. That's not the right word. When you look at the marketing materials for rooms, it's very much about, hanging out with your friends, really good chat for your friends and all that. But really, there's a subtext to this that says, hey, we're just as good as Zoom. You can use us for business, which is true. It's just funny how they're choosing to position it. Just like with the regular video calls, it's free. There's no time limit. You can do up to 50 people. There were rumors that they were going to bump that, and I think they did for a little while, but it seems to be back to 50 people. You can use it from anything. Okay, so like I said, you can do it from your phone, any of your mobile devices. Well, you can also do it from your laptop, your desktop, your Chromebook, whatever it is that you have. It is pretty much the default when you click on things in most of the situations. So just when you go into something, if you click on it and you're not sure, if you look up in the title bar, it'll say if it's a chat or if it's a messenger room, just so that you're aware of what you're in, because there are some subtle differences. You can use the rooms feature from the app, like I said, on your desktop, on your phone, browsers, Instagram, Facebook portal, or WhatsApp. And I would expect that list to grow over time, but that's pretty much where it's at right now. To create the room, you can just go and you can just click. So if you're in the Facebook browser, it pretty much near the top, you'll see a row, and you can just click a little plus sign and start it there. You can start it from the Messenger app. You can pretty much start it from anywhere. If you're already in a chat, you can start one from there. So they've made it very easy for you to segue into that. You can do screen shares. You can schedule these ahead of time. You're going to see everybody in the grid view. Now, of course, if you're on the phone, you're going to see less, just like you do with Zoom, but you're going to see more than you would with the regular video chat. Access. So you can choose to, again, one person. There's no minimum number of people needed for a room. So, you can jump on with, friends, family members, co-workers, whatever, with just one person. And then you can add people if the conversation lends itself to that. Or you can start off from the beginning saying, okay, I want to do it. Now, the thing I think is nicer about this part of it is when you go in, you create your room, and it shows you, it says, okay, who do you want to bring? You just go through and you can select as many as up to 50 that you want. And then when you say, that you're finished, it goes and it sends it out to everybody so they can all start coming in, which is really nice. You also get just a link, so you could email it or text message it out to people who are not in Facebook, who you want to offer the opportunity to come into it. They do not have to create a Facebook account to do this, which is a good idea. A very good idea. Or you can create an open room. Now, again, there seems to be a little bit of variation on this. In some cases, and it seems to be the default, is that you can set up an open room that any of your friends on Facebook can join. Some people are reporting that they can open it up and it's just open to anybody who sees it on Facebook. So I don't know if that's something that they're testing. Facebook is always testing things, so there's always going to be somebody that sees something or reports something that you won't have seen, that I won't have seen. The reverse has happened. I've seen something, I'd be like, hey, did you try this? And people have been like, what are you talking about? I'm like, oh, I guess I must be part of a test group. So that happens a lot. But this is where this idea of maybe doing things for your customers could kick in. It's certainly, obviously, we all know what the obvious benefits are for the business, right? So if you want to have a group call, with your team, that's the Zoom mentality. Everybody knows that. But if you think about it, you could also do this, right? You could post the link and say, hey, on your page, on your website, on your social, hey, customers, clients, whatever, however you communicate with your audience, we're going to have an open discussion, this time, at this day, this time. Here's the link. We could have up to 50 people. First 50 people get to come in. I hope you'll join us, right? And then that way, people who have questions for you, people who are curious about your business, people who are just fans of yours can come and hang out, and you can have a nice conversation with them. Now, as soon as I say something like that, somebody's like, but wait, there's weirdness that'll come in. And that's true. That's always a possibility. If you put a link out there, you're going to have some nudnik out there who decides that, it would be really funny to be naked on your... You have total control. You can punt people, you can invite people. So yeah, there might be that fleeting second that somebody sees it, but you do have the ability to control what happens in your room. So it's maybe not perfect, but it should give you a feeling of security that, okay, at least you have control of the situation. Yes? Okay. In most cases, if you schedule it, and again, this is so Facebook, most cases, the room creator has to be present before everybody else can start to talk. Again, the fact that it said most cases leads me to believe that they're testing other ways of doing that. But for right now, let's just assume that in order for it to work, you're going to have to be there, which is a good thing. Like if you've scheduled it, maybe you don't want people talking until you get there. So that's fine. And again, that's very much a Zoom or Skype or any of the big meeting tools kind of things. Something else everybody keeps asking me, and this seems to apply to rooms and to the video chats. Facebook doesn't listen to your calls at all, the company said. So a reporter went, and because it doesn't say it anywhere, I read through pages and pages of content from Facebook about this, and nowhere did they address this. But I found a couple of reporters who, asked about it and either got a fuzzy answer. This was the most direct answer, and I just like the way he worded it. Facebook doesn't listen to your calls at all, the company said. So take that for what it's worth. You're on their servers. Always keep in mind, whatever you do on somebody else's servers in somebody else's house, they can see, they can hear if they choose to. Okay? That's your posts, that's your chats, that's all of the things. It's just a reality of life, but it's something people tend to forget. There is sometimes a misunderstanding or misassumption about the level of privacy that you have. So just keep that in mind. The other thing with the rooms, which again could be really good, could be really bad, depending on how you choose to look at things or what your situation is. But the room creator can choose to broadcast the room as a Facebook Live. So what does that mean? That means the people who are in the room, just like with Zoom, just like on a video call, can participate, right? If they've turned their camera on, they are visible on the call, and they can also chat. Now, you do have some control over, you can mute people while you're doing stuff, and it doesn't have to be a free-for-all, but the reality is they can do that. As opposed to something like this, right? So if you're watching this live, I'm live streaming, you can see me, you can hear me, you can communicate with me through chat, but you aren't on screen, nobody's hearing your voice. So here, perfect example. So John says, right? If you are on the internet, assume there is no privacy. Exactly. So John was able to participate by putting a comment in, which then I could bring up and share. But it's not the same as him being on this stream with me, right? And you're seeing him and you're talking to him, which John could do because he's my mod. But just for the sake of explanation and just as an example. Okay, so that's, important to know that, you could be in a Facebook room and you could be having a conversation and it could feel warm and cozy like you're sitting in somebody's living room, but they also have the ability to live stream that out to people who just want to watch and listen and participate through chat. hopefully anybody who's doing that is communicating that. But from what I have seen when we've done tests on this, there is no indication in the room that this is happening. So hopefully they will say something, or maybe they're using a tool, like this. And so maybe, they can put a message up every once in a while to remind people. That's not what this message is, but it's just an example of how it could work. Because that is not something that you always assume when you're in any other type of meeting. Because this is built in. Now, understand that there are always ways to do this, right? There are ways to do this from a video call, right? I could do a video call with a bunch of people and stream it through here. I can do a Zoom room and stream it through here so that we're participating in the Zoom room, but I can also send it out to you. So understand that this is not necessarily weird. It's just that Facebook is unusual in that they make it very easy to do that because they have Facebook Live Producer built into their tool. So it's very easy for them to do. So just be aware of it. All right. Right, only the person who created the room can end the room, lock the room, or remove participants. So that's good. So that's the other thing. So let's say you do an open one, right? Or let's say you invite 50 people, and you start going and things are rolling along and you're like, at this point, if somebody new came in, it would kind of throw things off. So you can lock it so that even though they were invited, they still can't get in. Or if it's an open room, you can lock it at any point so nobody else can join, which is a handy thing. If you are logged in to either Facebook or Messenger, and I have a sneaking suspicion Instagram. I didn't think to test this until about an hour ago, but I'm assuming the fact that it's so tied in with WhatsApp and Instagram and all those portal, it's probably the same thing. But anyway, so if you are logged in, when you join a room, others will see your Facebook profile name, profile picture, and that you are in the room. Again, could be a problem, could not. It all depends. Most of the time that's not an issue, but it's just something to be aware of. The video chat for rooms and for the just regular video chat is not end-to-end encrypted in most cases. Again, there are situations where it does happen, but the default is not, so just be aware of that. When you are in a room, you can use like a text chat as well as the voice and the video to share links, to type, to put pictures and videos, GIFs, stickers, reactions, polls, all of the Facebook interaction and engagement kind of things that you would expect there. Okay? All right, so just going to sum up here a little bit before we do the complete wrap up. I don't know why that came up. No, that's not what I wanted. I wanted that one. That's what I wanted. So there's basically two ways to interact on camera and with voice in Facebook, and that would be in a group. Facebook, video chat situation where one person or up to 50 you can call and you can bring them in and they can all interact with you and with each other. Or rooms, the Messenger video call process is very much one at a time, even if you set up a group, which will save you a little bit of time, but it will still call each person. The phone has to ring, they have to pick it up. There's really not a scheduling type of thing for that. If you do rooms, you can schedule it ahead of time. You can invite a group of people and they'll all get notified at once. You can also get a URL that people who are outside of Facebook can use to come in, and they don't have to create an account. So there's definitely a trade-off there. There are certainly good business use cases to use one or the other, right? You could do a video call with somebody as part of a sales pitch. I hate the word pitch. Part of your sales process, right? Answering questions, that type of thing. You can do it, for follow-up post to see, how did things go? Is there anything you wish we'd done different? Is there anything that you're looking for that we're not providing that maybe we could provide for you? That type of thing. You can do that one-on-one. Do that in small groups, large groups. You could create the URL and kind of make an event out of it and say, hey, the first 49 people, because you count as one of the people in the room, first 49 people, who, click on this link and come join, and we're going to talk about our products. If you have any questions, whatever, our services, you can certainly do that. And that's just on a rooms thing. So there's definitely ways to do it. And the fact that you can do things like polls and get reactions and all that, let's say maybe you're thinking about a new product. You could just put that out on social, right? Put a link on, hey, we're not sure. We're thinking about this product. Let's ask our audience, right? Let's ask the people who are fans of ours, customers of ours, potential customers. Let's see what they think. You're going to find that to be a much easier thing to do through rooms than ever through the video call, because in order to do with a video call, you would have to know their account, you'd have to be connected to them and all that. Whereas with the rooms thing, you can kind of open it up a little bit more and say, hey, if you're interested, come join us this daytime. Let's find out what's going on. And then you could throw up a poll. They could respond with, GIFs or, the little reactions that you get in Facebook. So there's a lot of different functionality that you're going to get in the room that you won't get in just a regular video call. So this all comes down to like everything else, right? What's the right thing for you? It depends, right? It's going to depend on what you're trying to do, right? So if you are looking to communicate with your staff, right? If you're looking to check in with somebody, on your staff who's having a problem, or you're looking to interview, the call might be the way to go, right? One-on-one, or maybe even a small group. You could certainly do your team check-ins that kind of way, right? You could do it just over that, or you could do that with a room too. So either one would work. If you're doing one-on-one customer support or sales, definitely I think a call, as long as they are in the Facebook world, right? Although you can reach out to people outside of it, but it's easier if they're inside of it. Or you could just do a room that's just one-on-one, send them a link, and it's going to simplify the whole thing. It's going to remove the, oh God, I don't have to set up a Facebook account conversation, because they're just clicking on a link. So I think that depending on what it is and who it is you're talking to and what your goals are for that time period, for that interaction, I think one or the others is going to be the way to go. Truth be told, I have a sneaking suspicion that the video calls are going to go away and that everything is going to become a room, because there's no reason not to, right? You can do rooms one-on-one, or you can do them with a group. It's got all the functionality plus some. So again, I have no inside knowledge. I do not interact or know anything about what's going on in Facebook, but being around this industry for a long time, I kind of get the sense that at some point the video call thing is just going to go away, or it's going to get really downgraded and everything is going to be rooms, rooms, rooms. Not necessarily a bad thing. Hey, Stuart, how you doing? Good to see you. So let me just wrap this up. So basically, there's 3 things I think that differentiate these 2 pieces of functionality. One is the way you set up the call, right? So with a video call, it's a regular call, right? You're going to contact them, one by one or in a group, but it's still going to go through one by one. Call them, ring their device. They have to pick up or decline. You can't really schedule it per se ahead of time. And so it's a little bit more awkward. There's a little bit more of a time lag, like if the first person accepts and then you go to add somebody else and you haven't done it in a group, that person's going to hang out and wait while you're calling. If you do that 40 times, that first person has been waiting a long time. So not optimal maybe for a large group kind of thing, unless you're already in a group situation, a group chat situation. That's a little bit better, but there's still going to be wait time as each person gets called and either decides to join or not. In the rooms, you create the room, you select who you want to invite right away, or get the URL. It immediately goes out, or you post it on social or an email or however you're going to do it. And then as soon as people start coming in, they can start interacting. And it's just like a party, right? As people come to the party, they walk in, everybody says hi, they hand them a drink, and they start talking. So that's a little bit more of a natural flow for that type of thing. Hey, Stuart. Where you can do it. That's the other big thing. So right now, I was only able to successfully do video calls from my device. I could not do it from the desktop, either in the browser or in the app. I understand that some people are still able to do it from the browser and the app, but I get the distinct impression that that's going away. So that's a big thing as far as video calls go. Rooms, however, you can do rooms everywhere. Rooms for you. So whatever device you're on, wherever you are, you can click on something and get a room going or join a room. So it's definitely much simpler. A lot of people are ending up in rooms without necessarily being aware of it, which is not a bad thing. It's not a trick or anything. It's just a different environment. But that is the big difference, is that the rooms are available in all the places. And the other difference is that only rooms offer the live stream option, which may or may not be useful to you, but it's just something to be aware of. You can't from Facebook, by clicking one thing, start a Facebook Live of the gathering. Like I said, you can do it if you have the right technology and the right software, but it gets more complicated. Facebook make it easy in rooms. It's one click and boom, you've got a live stream. So that's it. That's what we have for you. I hope that helps a little bit to clarify what these things are and what the difference is and why maybe there's 2. I get the feeling that part of it is functionality, but part of it is also evolution of their functionality, and eventually the video calls are going to either go away or get pushed so far in the background that people forget they're there. All right, so that's what I have for you. Go give it a try. If you've never done anything like this, it's really not as intimidating as you might think going into it. It's like anything else. The first time you do it, it's kind of what's going on, what do I have to click on, and then after that, you're fine with it. If you have done any of the ones, if you've done a Zoom call, you're going to be very comfortable in rooms. It's going to look very familiar to you. So from that standpoint, that's a big win also. But get out there and think about ways that you could use this for your business, because it really does open up possibilities. Because that way, if somebody wants to see, like if you're selling phone stands, right? And somebody wants to see the phone stand, up, and show it to me with the phone in it, you could do all these things on the call. There we go. Right? And answer their questions for them. And so it's virtually like, you're visiting them to explain it, or they've come into your shop, however you want to think about it. But it adds that personal connection that you just really can't get through, emails and that type of thing. So from that standpoint, like as part of the sales process, I think it really could be a big help for a lot of people, especially people who don't think that it would help them. They're the ones who really should cash in on it, because if you think that way, probably the rest of your industry does too. And if you start doing it, now you're standing out a little bit more from the crowd. So, I'm a big fan of that in general. The room thing, it's a great way to get a feel for how your customers, your clients, your potential customers are thinking about things, what they might be looking for, of creating a sense of community around you and your business, which is always a good thing. So again, the more you look at this, the more you start to think about it. Don't limit yourself by what other people are doing. Look at it from the standpoint of who you are, what you offer, and how you can best help your community. Once you start to think about it that way and you look at these kinds of tools, ideas will start to pop in your head. Not all of them are going to be home runs, right? Sorry, baseball season started. But you still got to give it a try. Give it, try a couple ideas, pick a couple, give it a try, see how it goes, see what the feedback's like, see how it feels to you. But it's only by trying these different things that you will find new ways to reach new audiences, or new ways to make your existing audience, your existing customers happy. And that's what it's all about, right? All right, everybody. John says, it would be great for getting opinions from your beta testers. Right, well, that's kind of what I was thinking. I tend not to use the phrase beta testers here, because that's sort of a software thing and not everybody knows what it means. But basically, it's just a way to test ideas. You float an idea out there, see if anybody's interested. Or if you have a prototype for something, so maybe you're thinking about, hey, I've got all this wood on my property and I'm thinking about making wooden coasters, but I don't know if anybody's interested. You could get on, one of these room calls, invite a bunch of people, or put it out on your social and say, hey, I want to get your opinion about something I'm thinking about trying. People will give you their opinion. Be ready for that. You asked for it, so be ready for it. But most people are coming from a place of wanting to be helpful and wanting to provide useful information. So it's a good way to do that. And that's what we're talking about here, is it's a good way to test an idea, or maybe you've just done something, you've released a new product, a new service, and you're not really sure how the market is seeing it. It hasn't been out there long enough to have real analytics. You can have one of these quick, online sessions and get that immediate feedback from people. Now, you don't want to base all of your decisions off that, but it's another piece of data for you to work with as you're making these decisions as you go through, right? Because there's no perfect checklist. There's no, okay, do these 10 things and you'll be a successful business, if only. But this is the kind of thing that gives you that edge. It helps you pivot a little bit faster. It helps you to understand your audience or your potential audience a little bit better, because by listening to them, really not just using it to sell or promote, but to really listen to what they're saying and follow-up questions like, what would you need that for, or what would be triggering that need, and really get in there to understand what they might want, and you might be able to come up with a solution that they wouldn't come up with on their own. So this is the thing, all right? So my daytime gig, I do software design. The number one way to make a new piece of software or new functionality in software fail is to give people what they ask for, because they don't know how to ask for what they really need. When they say, we need you to add this feature, what they're really saying is, we have a need. I don't really know how to say it, but I think this is what would work. So it's your job to decipher what they're saying, get down to that real need, and identify the best possible solution for that. Because that's when you end up being the rock star. That's when people become fans of yours, not just customers, but fans, because you're hearing them and you're taking care of things on a level that they didn't even know they needed, but when you gave it to them, they went, wow. And that all comes from listening and having these conversations. And frankly, these kinds of tools are gold for that kind of thing. So yes, thank you, John. That's perfect. All right, everybody. I am here every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. If you have a question, if you have a topic you want me to cover, if there's something you're curious about, if you're facing a problem in your business and you don't know how to solve it, but you kind of think maybe possibly there's a solution out there you don't know about, reach out. Because that's what I do, right? People come to me and they tell me, what they're struggling with in their business, and then sometimes I can point them towards a technical solution. Sometimes I can point them to just a process solution, but that's what I do. So you go to yourtechcoach.net. There's a contact form there. Let me know. Let me know what your question is, what topic you want covered. If you need a really fast answer, give me a way to get in touch with you so I can do that. Otherwise, it will become a future show, which, frankly, is where all the good shows could come from. All right. So thank you all very much. I hope that you are having a good week. I hope that somebody else is getting this nice weather we got today. It's a little taste of what's to come, and I'm really excited about it. It's like, yay, the snow's going away. All right. So we will talk again soon. Until then, feel free to reach out if you need help. Bye. And thanks for joining, by the way.